Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another Authors Impact Hub podcast. So we've been going really strong with our author Q&As. I am your host, Juanita Woodson, founder of the Authors Impact Hub, and I'm always really excited to bring on some amazing authors from all different genres all across the U.S. to share about their books and their author journeys. So tonight we are joined by award-winning author, yes, Natalie Murphy. So of course we always let the authors do their own introductions. So I'm going to pass it over to you. If you can let us know a little bit about your background and the title of the book that we'll be discussing this evening.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. My name is Natalie R. Murphy. The R stands for Romance Junkie. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Again, I write romance. And this wasn't a journey that I had initially set out to make. But during the pandemic, as everybody did, I had to transition. I was originally a photographer. I had my own photography business, but COVID shut that down. And one morning I was just laying in bed and this storyline came to me. And I've always loved writing. I've written poetry as a teenager and short stories, but I never thought to publish. And when I got this idea, I promise you, in my right ear, I heard God's voice loud and clear, write the story. And I said, oh no, I'm not doing that. I don't know anything about writing and publishing a story. And I continued for 3 weeks giving God every reason why I was not going to write this story. Now, why I thought I was going to win that battle is beyond me. But after about 3 weeks, I said, okay, Lord, if this is you, I'm going to need you to come sit down with me in front of this computer because I don't type. Now, that was my last excuse because I had exhausted all the rest of them. And I sat down in front of that computer and that story just flowed and flowed and flowed. And I tell people to this day that was the best fight I ever lost because by me being obedient and writing the story and finding out what it takes to get published, I had my first award-winning romance novel. So I told God from that point, if you keep downloading, I'll keep writing. And so right now I have 9 romance novels and 1 romance guidebook.
Yes, awesome. And mind you, it's 2025, right? So we know COVID hit 2020. So in a span of what, 5 years, you have
Yes.
written and published 9 books and a guide.
Yes.
Come on. So
Yes.
there's something to be said about listening and following God's instructions, right? When he
That
found
part.
Yes, and that's the conversation for another day, but I think it's important to really share that because so many authors are afraid to take that next step, and we battle,
Yes.
we fight. We say
Yes,
no, we don't
absolutely.
want to do it, so you're not alone in that.
Right, right. So, and also in that time, because I had no one to help me through the self-publishing process, all the information that I learned, I was like, God didn't give me all this information to keep to myself. So
Right.
I've created a workshop, a self-publishing workshop called From Pen to Publish, the Road to Self-Publishing. And to date, I started that workshop last year, and to date, I have 5 published, self-published authors, and 2 have won literary awards.
Yes, awesome. And that's what it's all about, being able to make an impact, right, in somebody else's life and be able to help them pull those things out of them that they may not have even known
Absolutely.
there. So absolutely, I commend you for being able to do that. Thank you for your yes, right? It's very
You're
important.
welcome. Thank you.
So let's talk about this book, right? That first book that kind of started it for you. So I know you said COVID, right? COVID, you had to
Mhm.
but what's the inspiration behind the book?
So the inspiration behind the book is just love. I've always been one of the, as they say, bleeding hearts. So I've always had a thing for romance and happily ever afters.
Yeah.
And in this day and age, especially since COVID and the way things are turning now,
Right.
love is like low on the rung on the ladder. And so I just believe that this is my way of imparting love
Yeah.
into the world, whether it's fictional or not. It's an opportunity to take your mind away from all the things that are going on in the world. because it does for me, because I love reading other romance writers. I love reading their work. And it's just that time to get away, to feel good in the moment
Right.
and away from all the other foolishness that's happening around us.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that. So I'm an avid reader of like self-help motivational type of books, but
Mhm.
I love those type of books where you can kind of just escape. So we're always learning every single day, right? But just those books that kind of you get to imagine, right? You get to imagine like
Right.
there you can visually see the characters. So I love books like that. So to be loved by Blue, right? Let's talk about that book a little bit. And so tell me a little bit about the characters in that book and how did you kind of come up with those characters and the theme of the book?
Okay, so To Be Loved by Blue is actually the second book in a four-part series. So Toni, her name is Antoinette Kennedy. She is a big boned, sassy sister who has been hurt by um not just men but policemen. So her father's a cop, her uncle's a cop, she dated a cop, and in some way, shape, or form, they've all disappointed her. So Toni has decided she's done with love, and her way of protecting her heart is to become promiscuous. So she dates a guy, sleeps with him until she's done, until she meets Darius. Now Darius is this gray-eyed, flirtatious cop.
Okay.
He is everything that Toni says no to. He's a cop. She likes the more chocolate brown skinned brothers. He's light skinned. He's flirtatious, and he's an inch shorter than her. She likes guys taller than her. So he's everything she does not want.
Right. It sounds
But
like
yes, but she can't resist his corny lines. So his first pickup line when he sees her at this party is, um, "That's the exact face I see in my dreams every night. I just need the name to go with it."
oh
And she's
god.
like, "What?" You know? And she sizes him up and she's like, "Well, yeah, you kind of cute, you know." So they talk and she decides to give him a chance, but again, this is just for fun. And
Okay.
he's not trying to get into a relationship either. So they just playing for a night of fun. They had no idea what they were actually getting into. So their relationship progresses, and he helps her through some of the things that she's gone through with her family and the disappointments in her life. And she refuses to let him know how she feels because she starts falling for him. But then when she is ready to tell him, he's caught up in a case and he disappears.
Uh-oh.
So now she doesn't know if she'll ever get that opportunity to let him know how she feels. So, but all of my stories are happily ever afters. So I can't give away too much. I don't want to tell how it's
Yes.
going to end other than happily ever after.
Look, I'm like, okay, give me more. Yes. So I know in fiction books, right, romance books, when we think about character development, I know that there's sometimes a balance that you have. There has to be like some element of conflict in those books, right? So
Absolutely.
how do you balance like the romance part of it and the conflict part of it?
It's a tricky task, that's for sure, because um I like to write the romance, I like the spice, but I don't want it to be just all romance and spice. So you
Okay.
have to come up with something. You've got to give that conflict. So I just try not to have the same conflict in each book because again, you don't want to be boring. You don't want to
Right.
keep writing the same story over and over again. So a lot of what I base my stories on are just little bits and pieces of life, things that I've seen in my past, things that um, I've um, I may encounter while I'm walking in the park or things like
Okay.
that. Um, so the cop kind of somewhat. I had an uncle who was a cop, and he was
Okay.
good looking, and he was a flirt, and the women just loved him.
Okay.
So, so I mean, Darius is loosely based on him. But now the really cool thing is, I live in Arizona now. I used to live in Illinois, But before we moved here, my husband and I were out for dinner, and this cop walks into the restaurant, and my husband goes, "Babe, look, there's Darius."
Oh,
I'm
that's so
like, "No." He's like, "Here," he could look at him. So I look over this cop, and he looks like the character on my book.
oh no.
And my husband's like, "Go talk to him." Go. I'm like, "Oh, I'm not going to talk to that man." And so my husband went over to talk to him, and he told him, he's like, "You look like one of my wife's characters." And I showed him the character, and he looked at it, and he's like, "Would you look at that?"
That's
Because
so
it was real fun. Now here's a real part that blew me away. He said, "Oh, he has an arm sleeve. Darius has a tattoo sleeve. So did this cop that we met."
that's so cool.
It was. I was like, how often do you get to meet
Right.
one of your characters in real life?
In real life. I hope that you took a picture with
Let me
him
tell you,
in that book cover.
the photographer in me just passed out somewhere because I did not. I was like, God, why didn't I take a picture of him? But yeah, but that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. So if you're listening, sir, the
Right, right.
designer,
He's in a
make sure,
massive police force.
yeah, make sure that you go grab a copy of the book and take a picture and send it to Miss Natalie, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. I love that. So I know, and to kind of take it back, I know you mentioned COVID, right? So COVID is it's been a common theme in a lot of authors,
Yeah.
um, you know, over the course of the last couple of years. But I appreciate that because I think that it sparked like a creativity in us, right? Some of those things
Yes.
we enjoyed doing growing up, we were able to take that time when we're sitting, you know, we are I don't know why I can't even think of the name of it. We're quarantined, right? We're not able to do
Right.
things. We can't go anywhere. So all we have is time to be able to like let those creative juices.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And you mentioned so you did self-publishing, right? So
Yes.
self-publishing, what was that journey like for you?
It was it was an amazing journey. It was a stressful journey. It was exciting at times. It made me want to kick a hole in the wall at times because like I said, this is all new to me and I had no
Right.
one to refer to when I had questions. So thankfully, I've always loved doing research. So I just kept doing the research and kept doing the research and I made it through the process. That first book that I held in my hand, there's no way on God's green earth I'd put that into the public, but because it was done so wrong. But it was the start of the
Right.
process. It was my very first book. My name was on it as the
Mhm.
author. My words were on each and every page. So that
Right.
was exciting, and it was that learning curve.
Absolutely.
So and like I said, by me doing it all myself, I thought there are other people out here like me who
Yeah.
have this story and they don't know what to do.
What to do next.
Yeah, so that's like I said, that's when I created the workshop because it's like I gotta share this with other
Yeah.
people. So and the one thing I try to let everybody know is you have to invest in yourself.
Yes.
It's going to cost money. You just got to be smart about it.
Yes.
So, and that's also one of the things that I cover in the workshop is giving some ballpark figures of what it's going to cost
Right.
as and it is going to fluctuate depending on how you do it, what your needs are, things like that.
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. So, what were some of the challenges that you maybe faced while self-publishing, and how did you overcome that challenge?
The bane of my existence is formatting the book.
Oh, so many authors feel that way.
Yes, that was so hard. But the thing that helped me was that I am a photographer, so I
Right.
understood the terminology. And see it if I had not been a photographer, I don't know if I would have continued because that
Right.
was really hard for me.
Uh,
Um, Other than that, the publishing process wasn't too hard. I My first book was I really came under average cost for publishing because my daughter is a graphic artist. So she created my cover for me. My sister's best friend, her daughter worked for one of the cable stations as a copy editor. So she did my editing,
Okay.
and she charged me $100. Where do you get a pay
Where?
$100 for editing?
Where can we find her?
Exactly. So yeah, but yeah, I think the biggest struggle for me was the formatting because I didn't
Okay.
know what I was doing with all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that typesetting, man, it can really whew.
Man, right? And then the page numbers and the bleeding, and it's like, what do all these words mean?
Yes. Absolutely. But you were able to learn, right? And be
Yes,
able to now pour that information, give those different tips and tools to other people. So
absolutely.
sometimes, as authors, publishers, we go through the hard part
Yes.
that we can help other people avoid some of those same pitfalls. So
Right.
absolutely. So what
Right.
advice do you have for, right, so romance authors? What's a piece of advice that you can share to someone who's thinking about stepping into that genre?
Write your story from your heart.
Yes.
Don't worry about what other people say, because one of my big concerns was, okay, you're writing a romance novel with these love scenes, or as I like to say, passion scenes. And so my concern was, what's my mom going to think?
Oh, yes.
What are the church people going to think? What's my husband, who's a minister, going to think? And um, they were all supportive. Everybody was supportive. I only had two people who questioned, well, what did the church people say? And my response now is, the church is full because of the passion scenes in my book. People are doing what's in my books. So how do you think the church gets full? So these love scenes are not new to people.
Right.
So write your story. If you encounter naysayers, don't worry about it, because everything is not for everybody.
Absolutely.
And you have to have a thick skin to say, hey, you know what? This is what I want to put out. This is what I want for my readers. And that's, I mean, if you follow that, you're good. You're golden.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about, and I think this is just an overall message that we can share to people who may be even hesitant to pick up like a romance or a thriller novel or
Hmm.
fiction, right? Just because there are those different scenes or you see conflict in those type of books, they also have ways that they resolve the conflict, right? So you sometimes
Absolutely.
have to be open-minded to these are real life things that probably happen in real life. You may know somebody who may have dealt with that common theme in that book, and she's going to give you some tips and tools if you just read on how to maybe overcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely.
You just have to, kind of change your perspective a little bit. And Christian
Right.
married people are not boring people, if I can just put it that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So just, a couple of fun questions, right? Because when we think about fiction, we think about romance novels, you can get really creative, right, with the themes in there. So your characters in the book, Toni
Hmm.
and Darius, if they could be in any movie, what movie would you put them in?
I would probably put them in How Stella Got Her Groove Back,
Ooh, yes.
or Pretty Woman.
Okay, okay. And then can you think of like your maybe favorite actors or actresses? Who would you have play them in those movies?
So Darius, I would have him played by Aaron Pierre.
Yes, he's like very, very new, up and coming, and very popular right now
Yes.
too.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And Tony, who would I have to play Tony? Hmm. That's a good question. Because Tony's a thick girl. So trying to think who I would have to play her. She thick and sassy. I love Tony. um I want to say Angela Bassett, because Angela Bassett is just a bad girl, but she's a
Yeah.
fit the body type. Yeah, I don't know who I would have to play Tony.
Yes, okay.
I
I
have to
love
think about
questions
them.
like this though, because it really makes you think, and you can
Yeah.
even listen, you can use that in maybe your marketing strategy too.
And I actually did that for my first my first novel. I put out on my social media all the all the actors I would have to
Okay.
play each one of those characters. So yeah, I have to think out who
I
I would
love
have to play
that.
Tony.
Yes. It just kind of puts that visual in your mind, right? So I absolutely love that.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are some of your favorite romance books?
So one of my favorite romance writers is Brenda Jackson. I can't even tell you which one of her story, all of her, because she has so many. Let's see. One of my favorites is Forget Me Not. That book, oh my gosh, that did it for me.
Oh, I could
Um,
oh.
oh, I love that one. Um, there's an indie author named Jade Dotson. She wrote a book called I Dream of Johnny. Love that book. Absolutely love that one. Um, let's see. Another indie author that I know, Angela Taylor, she wrote a book called Checkmate. That's one of my favorites. Um, oh, there's an author, A.K. Evans.
Another
Everything, everything I have. It's a series. It's called the Everything series. But
oh,
everything I have is the second one in the series. Oh my gosh, I read that book twice. I had to read it twice.
awesome. I love that. And I'm gonna recommend because I know that you like romance. So I'm gonna recommend an indie author, Danny Nicole. So I'll send you her book title. As you were naming the authors, I was like, I think that you would absolutely love her book, but the title of her book isn't coming to me, but Danny
Okay.
Nicole, check it out. So yes, I know you would absolutely love her book as well.
I love reading indie authors. I
Yes,
obviously being one, I'm a big supporter of them.
absolutely. Yes,
So,
ma'am.
and I will probably reach out to her on social media or her website because I'm also an ambassador for an organization called DAG, which is Distinguished Authors Guild.
Okay.
And that's where I have won several awards through the
Nice.
Distinguished Authors Guild. And
Yes.
it's a platform for African American authors. And they do so much for promoting us and getting our books in front of eyes that we couldn't reach on our own. So yeah, so whenever I meet an indie author, I'm
Yeah.
instantly telling them connect with Dad, get on their Facebook page, and see it's an amazing experience.
Yes. And listen, this is why I love the Authors Impact Hub, right? Because this is what we want to do is just be able to provide authors with those different tools, those tips that you need to be successful because I haven't even heard of that. So I'm like, okay, I need to jot that down and go check that out. So that's definitely
Yes.
a good resource to share with other people. So I'm gonna make sure I drop you her information. It will definitely
Okay.
be a connection, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
So, what's been like the most impactful or memorable moment that you can think of from your author journey?
Well, there have been a few. Again, winning the award, the Distinguished Authors Guild Award. Like I say, I've won it 4 years in a row. So I'm gonna try for a fifth year. I'm gonna push till I don't.
Absolutely. Keep going.
um, I I like that I get to be creative
Yes.
and put my words out there. I like. Wow. Okay. So my brain is running because there are so many moments. I attended the um Black Ink Book Fest in New Orleans last
Oh,
year.
yes.
Oh my gosh, that was such an awesome experience. Um, yeah, I think those are the top ones. The Book Fest, winning the Distinguished Authors Guild Award, and actually, To Be Loved by Blue just made it past the first round of awards for the Black Authors. What is it? BAA Black Authors Awards.
Okay.
And
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, yeah. So they're starting the second round. So To Be Loved by Blue may be on its way to a second award.
Oh, congratulations in
Thank
advance.
you.
Amazing things. Absolutely.
Thank you.
And of course, how can we connect with you, right? You have some great things going on. You have your workshop that you do, and kind of just to, I don't know, this may be a piece that you already do. I kind of
Mhm.
get unsolicited advice to authors when I'm like, oh, this would be a great idea. So I'm a photographer. So in your workshop, do you also do like headshots for the authors that you're coaching? Because
I
as an
had
author, you need headshots, you need author photos.
Absolutely. And I did not have that idea did not come to me when I was doing those workshops, but and some of a few of the workshops I've done have been virtual. But yes,
Okay.
my next in person, I definitely will offer that to the to the authors. Absolutely.
Yes, and you're in
Absolutely.
Arizona.
Yes.
Okay, so listen, listeners, authors, so if you're in Arizona, make sure that you stay connected with Miss Natalie here. She has some great things going on in the Arizona area. So I just wanted to make sure we throw that out there too.
I appreciate it. But yeah, so you can find me on my website is natsbooks.net, natsbooks.net. You can also find me on Facebook. I have my author page, which is Natalie R. Murphy Author. It's the same for my Instagram. And then I also have a Make Room for Romance page on Facebook. And that page, I just talk about my journey, the different things that I'm doing. Like I posted about my bookshelf yesterday and how I organize it and things like that. Just kind of fun tidbits about me. But if you want more tidbits about publishing and writing, that's on my Natalie R. Murphy author page.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I've definitely enjoyed this conversation. Like
Thank
I said, I
you.
love connecting with authors. Everyone has like a different story, a different journey, but you don't
Yes.
you'd be surprised like how many people like will pick up something even if they're writing in a different genre as you. They'll be inspired
Mhm.
by, what you were able to accomplish. So thank you so much for
Right.
taking time out. And of course, we always end the show with one last question, and that is, what impact do you want your books and your author brand to leave on the world?
Like I said, love. That's my whole thing. I want people to have an escape. I want people to feel love, whether it's in their life or a few minutes that they take for delving into one of my stories. I just want them to have that feel good feeling.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, listeners, make sure that you go and connect with Natalie R. Murphy and remind us what the R stands for again. I like that.
Romance junkie.
Yes, absolutely. Make sure that you connect with her on social media, head to her website, order a book. And then, of course, if you are in the Arizona area, make sure you stay connected so that you can be the first
Yes.
to know about her workshop that she does as well. But make sure that you like, subscribe, and leave us a review of this episode. We want to make sure that we are getting heard all across the US, but also internationally as well. And reviews help us to do that. So thank you so much for joining. Until next time, take care.
Bye bye. Thank you.